Hi, welcome back to Comix Fantasy Forum with myself, Shari Hilton, Ed Mears, and our guest, Marie Severin. Marie, glad to have you on this evening.
Thank you.
You know, you were self-taught, but not in the traditional sense of the word. Your home was more or less your art school. Tell us about that.
Well, I come from a family of artists, and my father always included us, and if we asked questions on what he was involved in, he would show us, and he didn't mind us being at his knee as long as we behaved. And my brother was always quite cooperative, even though I was the pesky kid sister. I was always tolerated and taught, and I learned a lot. I was very well cared for, shall we say.
We can tell.
Thank you. What does she mean by that? Anyway, the family, I was very lucky in that there was always paper to draw on, and there was always books to read, which is very, very important.
Very encouraging.
Yes.
Why did you just specifically choose to be comic books as a career for you instead of, say, fashion illustration or straight commercial artwork?
Well, I think because my brother was doing comics, it seemed exciting, and I always liked storytelling, and it was the easiest to get into for exposure, and there's always the volume of work that in children's storybooks, it's a very hard field to break into because it's closer and the costs are higher, therefore they're much more particular when you're starting in. But then I got into it and I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
So it was just easier, or you just...
I think it was easier, yeah.
Okay. But you enjoyed it more too?
Well, that has to be, if you're lucky enough to do what you like.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you were really a pioneer when you started. Did you feel any kind of resentment or from the guys at the job, or what, because it's really been a man's field?
Well, when I started, I really wasn't competing as an artist with the artist. I was at EC, which was, I was like the girl Friday. So that is like, well, you don't sweep the floors,
no,
but working with Harvey Kurtzman and Bill Gaines, of course, and Al Feldstein, great guys, and meeting the EC crew. Anyway, I started doing coloring for them because we were just starting out doing comics in the EC tradition, which was it was like modern comics today. It was a lot more fun. And it was detailed and it was fairly accurate. And they got tired of the usual way of coloring comics, which was for the printer to do it because of time and they didn't have anybody on staff to. So they got John's baby sister to come in and I did a lot of other things too. I did research for them and touch-ups and things like that. It was a great way to start out. It's what every young training artist would love to have happen to them. But I had an in. It was family. Nepotism.
But that helps.
Yeah, it really was a nepotism. I'm not related to Gaines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In the case of all the different characters you worked with over the years, specifically, what kind of a female character or characters in the Marvel company would you say reflect the 80s today?
Gee whiz, I don't know because I don't read that many of the comics. I suppose the X-Men ladies are what is selling best, and I think they're up to some real nasty things, but I don't follow it that well. I can't relate it to myself either because I'm not drawing a female character right now and working with a comic writer on a female character. They must be doing something right because they're selling better than anybody else. So I think the comics in this case speak for themselves, and I can't be that
So the
good.
top grossers are what reflects?
I would say so. Isn't that the usual?
Okay.
Yeah.
You've seen everyone's work, and I'm sure in comics there's so many different styles. How do you judge quality with so many different styles to choose from?
Quality is a matter of taste, and a matter of taste isn't it always going to be what sells. You have to figure that a comic artist has to have the specifications of storytelling, and he can have a weird technique that you might hate, but it might have that quality that comes across that children like. There's a couple of artists that I won't name that I, you know, wouldn't want hanging their stuff up in my house, but they love it. The kids love it, so therefore you go for that. And if that's selling, and a new person comes along with that technique, by all means encourage them. It's like, I don't particularly like Rembrandt. That doesn't mean it's not good. So a publisher cannot approach a thing on what he thinks is quality. Quality is storytelling. Quality is knowing your character and developing it. And time will tell whether you've got it. But you can't say, quote, quality. It's I hate to say it's a sort of a commercial approach, but it's also what the kids want. Kids want the, so if a fella can tell a story and he has appealing and intensity and he likes what he's doing in the comics, he's going to have a darn good comic book.
Well, how much competition do you think or feel existed in the time that you started as opposed to what's going on today, especially for the women getting into the market or who have gotten in since then?
Competition for women didn't exist because women weren't attracted to comics.
So you feel you had it easy because you were a woman?
No, I wasn't interested in competing in that way. I was just working there at the time. But if you're talking about, well, women didn't exist ready to do comic book art because they weren't reading comics in any volume, or thinking of it. They were reading Patsy and Hetty and Millie the Model and that stuff. But that sort of readership is not drawing that stuff except for themselves doing little dresses and things like that that they do today too with paper dolls and what have you.
Okay.
So there wasn't any competition.
Okay.
Dull, but that's the way it is.
Well, we're thinking 2 different periods now.
Today, I think the novelty, if we got a halfway decent female artist, they would like to play that up. But also, a woman adds, in the Marvel way of doing a comic, a woman adds a woman's approach to it. And because today more women are reading comic books, we need more women in them to capture a bigger audience.
Okay. All right, we'll have to break right here for a few seconds. We'll be right back with our guest, Marie Severin.
Hi, welcome back to Fantasy Forum with Ed Mears and my guest, Marie Severin. Marie, you see in Full Magazine, which did an article on you,
Yes.
You mentioned that you have to put yourself in order to write into, or to draw, or however it is that you come out with a character, into that. With it being all male characters predominantly in comics, how do you find yourself putting your feelings into those characters and making them come alive? And
Oh, I see. Well, it's in portrayal. It's not as a male. It's just an emotion. How would I feel if I was mad, and if I was running, or if I was leaping, and I have to feel it, and then I get the emotion in the line that way. You know, you're not thinking male, female. It's just an emotion. Yeah. And with an artist, it's easier that way if you can get into it. I think it's harder to draw when you're copying something, like a car or something. I think a human moving object, an animal, is a lot easier because you can relate to it.
Okay.
And some inanimate objects are fun to draw because you like the object. If you like, say, a Zeppelin or something, you know, you're doing a cartoon of it and you draw it.
Like a semi-trailer truck? Say US 1?
Oh, jeez. I don't get into that, although I am doing a G.I. Joe now, and I'm a little afraid. I mean, I've got 14 million research objects, helicopters and tanks and things. But anyway, we'll do it.
I'm sure.
No, but I find it easier moving with the thing, moving in the, because it is an emotional thing. You're expressing yourself, even if it is on something you've never done, like smash somebody's face in and knock down, the Empire State Building with one blow and things like that.
Right.
I'll do it. It's all right.
Feel how you would do it.
Okay, what we'll do now is we'll go to some of your artwork to show folks what it looks like. All right, this piece here, could you explain something to it?
That is a cover that we did for a coloring book. And we don't know if the little color book market is ready for it, but it's the Secret Wars people. That's Dr. Doom. Older than Darth Vader, I might add, but nevertheless, there he is. And Spidey and Captain America and Iron Man and Doc Ock, all these guys. And they are coming out with a whole big treatment and it's in conjunction with a whole toy feature thing that's going to be with, oh dear, I forgot the toy company. Who cares? Anyway, it's going to be a toy, and that's my coloring book. And there's a bunch of lines of comic books also on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for the second piece that we have, which is also color, and this one is?
That one is for Dungeons and Dragons. This was a small 8-inch by 8-inch full-color storybook. I did the cover for.
It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you, thank you. I liked it. I love that technique, you know, and I think I'm going to enjoy doing a lot of that in the future.
So we're talking about that technique staying the same on the inside, or is this just the frontispiece?
Well, Earl Norm did the inside. I did the other Dungeons and Dragons, very much like that technique on the inside, full color.
All right. And some of the black and white work. The next piece we're going to see is.
Oh, yeah. That was an inside front cover of Sir Walter Scott, showing some of the characters in
was this
his
from
romantic novels. That was, I think, for the classic...
Marvel Classic Comics?
Yeah. Just showing my pen and ink style.
Okay. And the next piece we have? As soon as we get to it.
Hi.
And that is?
That is Submariner wearing a TV antenna, I believe. And this is an old piece, and I think I had to follow. You know, when Gene Colan drew that, see, I followed, I think, Gene Colan on this particular thing, and when he drew that headpiece, it looked so nice, but when I did it, it turned out to look like the top of the refrigerator or something. But anyway, I was, no, it's all right, but anyway, it happens to be
okay, and
Submariner.
one last piece we have to show. Okay? As soon as I get to it.
Rom. Oh, Rom is our toaster.
Your toaster.
Yes, he is a toy. And there he is down there, and he's always in a lot of trouble, but he's our toaster. And he's with Doctor Strange and the three-headed tribunal. That's a character I had to originate. The tribunal with his. He turns around when he has, I forget now, it's about 15 years. His mood changes. You see either the curtains over the head or just the mouth. It's like this, and this, you know.
Three monkeys.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
No, it isn't. Not really.
It really is, though. I mean, all these different characters and just
well, that's imagination, and that's if you. One thing I should add: any comic book artist has to have a vivid imagination, which is the use of fantasy, which means that you've not only taken care of yourself physically, but you've fed your head a lot of stuff, and your mind can never get obese.
All right. Okay, I'd like to thank our guest, Marie Severin, and say please come back sometime soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Definitely.
Appreciate it.
Really.
All right.
Good. Thanks a
Okay.
lot for being here.
Good night. We'll be right back.